Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking. Today we're going to start our episode with a question. What is the Silurian Hypothesis? And this was a term that was coined in 2018 by an astrophysicist named Adam Frank and a climate scientist called Gavin Schmidt. The Silurian Hypothesis asked a deceptively simple question. If a advanced civilization existed existed on Earth millions of years ago, have we been able to detect it today? The name is a nod to the Silurians in the science fiction uh, uh, movie that dealt with an intelligent race of reptilians, and the movie was Doctor Who. But it is not a reference to the actual Silurian geological period. But don't let the sci-fi roots fool you. Okay, Frank and Schmidt's proposal is a serious scientific thought experiment, which was published in the International Journal of Astrobiology. Their goal wasn't to prove such a civilization existed, but to explore whether our current scientific tools could even detect it if it had. Okay, which I think is something we should really keep in mind because we think we know a lot about a lot of stuff. Okay, the core idea of this lost civilization of the time was the following: Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. It's a complex life has existed for hundreds of millions of years. Humans, by contrast, have only been around for about 300,000 years. In our industrial civilization, a mere 300 years, right? That's a blink in a geological time frame. So, what if during the Carbonaceous uh, period, which is about 350 million years ago, or the Paleocene era, which was about 60 million years ago, an intelligent species developed technology, built cities, and then vanished. Could we find the ruins, their bones, their tools? But Frank and Schmidt, these two guys, argued probably not. We wouldn't be able to find anything. Okay, but what would survive? Most human artifacts, buildings, electronics, even bones degrade quickly. Fossilization is rare. Tectonic activity constantly recycles the Earth's crust. Urban areas cover less than 1% of the planet's surface, and even those are vulnerable to erosion, burial, destruction over millions of years. Instead of looking for direct evidence, like tools and ruins, the Silurian hypothesis suggests searching for what they call indirect markers. Okay? So these indirect markers are such things as the common carbon isotope, anomalies, burning fossil fuels, changes the ratio of the carbon isotopes in the atmosphere. Similar shifts have been found during the Paleocene, uh, Eocene, what they call is the thermal maximum, which is the abbreviation is PETM, um, which was a mysterious warming period about 56 million years ago. Okay, so then another indirect marker is synthetic compounds such as plastic, PCBs, and other long-lived chemicals could persist in segments for millions of years, which is we're starting to find that out, and that's pretty dangerous stuff in many cases. And of course, there's the radioactive isotopes fallout from nuclear activity may have leak detectable traces like plutonium uh, 244, which doesn't occur naturally on Earth. Okay, so it's an element that is created, and if you find it, Obviously, we know that there would have been some kind of activity, somebody creating it by a nuclear blast or some other means, but it is not does not occur naturally. Then there's a geochemical fingerprints, changes in sediment composition, artificial fertilizers, or metal concentrations could hint at an industrial complex or industrial processes. So then let's go back a little bit to this thing they call the PETM or and other geological clues. Let's talk about that for a minute. So the GPTM, which is Paleocene, Eocene thermal maxima, is particularly intriguing candidate. During this period, the global temperature spiked 5 to 7 degrees. There was a lot of ocean acidity, uh, mass distinctions occurred, but the cause, we don't know what the cause is because there was a massive release of carbon, but not from, but the question is from what source, okay? And kind of remember, this is sort of what's happening to us right now, okay? Just FYI. And then, of course, there's volcanic activity is a leading theory, but the Silurian hypothesis asks, could it have been industrial? Carbon carbon spikes was slower than today's, but the resemblance is uncanny. Yes, just like I said. Other events like a ocean anoxic, I think it's a anoxic event, a non-sick event. Um, in the Cretaceous and the Jurassic periods also showed strange chemical signatures, but also natural explanations dominate unless we find something truly anonymous. Um, anyways, so those were some of the things. So then, of course, there's these implications beyond the Earth. Frank and Smith weren't just talking about the Earth. Their work ties into astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrials. If ancient civilizations Earth could vanish without a trace, then alien civilizations on other planets might do the same. So this reframes the what they call the Drake equation, which estimates the number of detectable civilizations in the galaxy. If most civilizations collapse quickly or leave minimal footprints, our chances of finding them drop dramatically. It also suggests that new strategies for xenoarchaeology, the search for alien artifacts, instead of looking for radio signals, maybe we should be scanning the geochemical anomalies on Mars, Venus, and other planets. So then there's this thing called sustainability uh, versus detectability. This is kind of a paradox. The more sustainable a civilization is, the less detectable it becomes. A long-lived society powered by solar energy might not leave no trace at all. But a short-lived fossil fuel civilization like ours creates a clear uh, ge- uh, geological signal. Okay, is that understood? So we're very detectable. But if we ever evolve someday to all solar power, 100%, our detectability would diminish completely. Well, a lot, anyways. So if we want to be remembered, de- we need to be destructive. Okay, that's obviously. But if we want to survive, we need to be invisible. It's pretty. It's kind of a chilling trade-off, I guess, in many ways. Um, so so Frank and Smith are clear. We don't believe a pre-human industrial civilization exists. At least they don't. Their paper is a thought experiment, a way to sharpen our tools and expand our thinking. They caution against wild speculation, emphasis on the need for extraordinary evidence before making extraordinary claims. Okay. Still, the idea has captured the imagination. It's been featured in the Discovery magazine, NBC News, ZME, Science, and has inspired discussions among geologists, astrobiologists, and sci-fi fans alike. Why does this matter? Okay. Well, the Silurian hypothesis isn't just an ancient alien or lost civilization. It is about how we think, how we search, and how we interpret the past. It challenges us to consider the following: what traces, what traces we're leaving behind, how future civilization might study us, whether we're missing something on Earth's deep history. How do you look for intelligent life, or just out there, but right here? I believe it's right here. I think there's a really ripe, interesting, deep dive type ancient civilization that we're missing. Okay, I really, really believe that. It's it's a reminder that the past may be a stranger than what we think, and the future of discovery lies in asking bold, uncomfortable questions. So, was there a civilization before us? Do we do we think do we think that they were reptilian engineers, aquatic philosophers, time traveling toolmakers? Um, I say all of those. So what do you say? What do you think? Happy trails until we meet again. Bye bye.